and welcome to our today's lesson. Today we shall be looking at artificial incubation. In our previous lesson, we were looking at the natural incubation. Remember, we said the natural incubation, it is all about the end, that is the broad end, to provide the requirement for the embryonic development of the chick. Today we shall look at the artificial incubation. The difference between artificial incubation and the natural incubation is that in natural incubation you use an egg, but in artificial incubation you are going to use an incubator. But all the same, the fact behind the two is that all the management or all the requirement for the embryonic development of the chick are going to be maintained constantly. What was to be provided by the broad end, it is now going to be artificially provided by use of the incubator. And in this now, it is all about the effort, or else all the task behind everything is on the arms of the farmer. Because now an incubator, this is a machine, whereby then you have to maintain, you have to provide all the necessities, and they also not even providing, but even going to an extent of maintaining them so that they can remain at the constant rate, which shall facilitate the development of the embryo. Generally, in this, we have seen it is the primarily use of the incubator to provide the conditions necessary for the embryonic development of the chick. And in this now, we look at this incubator we are saying. We are saying that you use the incubator. Now, in this incubator, what should be in it? What should be maintained within the incubator so that it enables the development of the chick? And therefore, we look at the conditions necessary for artificial incubation. Conditions necessary for artificial incubation. The first thing is temperature. Remember, in natural incubation, we said that warmth is going to be provided by the broad end. In this now, the artificial incubation, warmth is going to be provided by use of the temperature, or else the heat source. That temperature within the incubator, it should be maintained at a range of 37 to 39 degrees. Why are we saying 37 to 39 degrees? This is the optimum temperature which is required for the embryonic development. Note, in case the temperature becomes too high, or else the temperature becomes too low, it is going to range to the death of the developing chick. Something else which is a requirement is fresh air. Fresh air. If you can remember when we are drawing the diagram of an egg, for instance, this is an egg. You remember at one point at the broad side of the egg, we had a part we used to call the air space. Remember, we said the air space is to enable the exchange of the gases within an egg. And now in this, the development for this chick to develop, there must be a fresh air getting inside it through this part. Remember now, within the egg, the carbon dioxide, which is now an extractory gas from the developing chick, is going to get out, and then oxygen gets inside. The other requirement is relative humidity. Relative humidity, now this is the moisture within the incubator, which should be maintained at 86%. 86%. This now again becomes the optimum amount of relative humidity which is to be maintained within the incubator. Why this 86%? In case the relative humidity goes beyond this, for instance, let's say the relative humidity gets to 100%. That means then there shall be less evaporation within the incubator, and when there is less evaporation, it reaches to dampness. There is dampness within the incubator. In the case of dampness, here we are going to experience many challenges. For instance, damp places, they lead to the breeding site of the pathogen. The other side is if this relative humidity goes below, let's say it becomes 50%. When it becomes 50%, then there are going to be a very high rate of evaporation. In case there is a lot of evaporation within the incubator, then dryness is going to be experienced, which may lead to the death of the chick. Therefore, we should maintain our relative humidity at 86% so that we can have the conducive atmosphere, the amount of the water or else the moisture requirement within the incubator, it can be maintained at the expected level. The other thing is egg turning. Egg turning. When we are looking at the natural method, it is the issue of the hen to turn the egg. But now in artificial incubation, it is now the farmer who is going to be regularly turning the eggs. Why is it that the eggs are being turned regularly? So as now to enable that there is that uniform distribution of the warmth to all parts of the egg. Remember, if these eggs are not turned uniformly, then developing chick is going to attach itself towards one part of the shell. The other requirement is sanitation or else hygiene. Sanitation or the hygiene. In this, or else within the incubator, you are required to fumigate. Fumigating, we can also say the issue of dusting. This is done so as to eliminate any form of pathogen which may be attacking or else in the case of the parasite. Remember, in case there is a parasite, they are going to inbreed within it, and the moment the chick at this parasite are going to attack the chick as they hatch. These are the brief conditions necessary for artificial incubation. And the next, let us look at the management of the incubator. Okay, now let us look at the management of the incubator. Then within that your incubator, what are the various practices which you are going to enhance so as you be able to, or else you are able to assure that the chicks, all of them are going to hatch. One, ensure that you remove any broken egg. In case there are eggs which are broken within your incubator, ensure that you remove them. Two, maintain the temperature. Maintain the temperature at the range of 39 to 37 to 39 degrees Celsius. We said this should be so because now this is the optimum temperature which is required for the embryonic development of the chick. Another one is you add water. You add water. Why is it that water should be added? This is because to maintain the optimum humidity, which we said it should be at the range of 86%. The relative humidity of 86%. At times, if the humidity is constant, you don't need to add water, but you add water when you realize that the conditions inside are becoming somehow dry. And the other management which should be done in the incubator is egg turning. The issue of the egg turning, though we said it shouldn't be an art, it has to be taken with a lot of care. For instance, within the first 3 days, and also at the last 3 days, We are saying the first 3 days and the last 3 days. Within this period, the egg should not be turned. The reason being, it is the critical period of the development of the embryo. That means, in case you turn the egg at this period, then you are going to interfere with the development of the embryo, of which then this process may not proceed. And again, within the last 3 days, that means you are going to start turning your eggs from the day 4. You turn them from day 4 up to, now consider it was the end, which takes 21 days. That means the last time to turn them, you subtract here 3, which is going to be 11 minus 3 is 8, then 18, up to the 18th day. Now from day 4 to the 18, this is the range in which the eggs are being turned. So that now within the last 3 days, there is no turning of the egg, so as to obey the issue of the critical period of the embryonic development. Again, the aspect of turning of the egg, it should be at an angle of 180 degrees. That means this being, for instance, the shape of the egg or the position of the egg when you are turning it, we can call this part A and this part B. The moment you are turning it, part B is going to face up, and then part A is going to face down. That is the position in which the egg should be that we are saying at an angle of 180 degrees. Necessarily, it may not be exact 180 degrees, but it should be an approximate or else the equivalent. It can be like 179 degrees, 180 degrees, or even 181 degrees. This is the case, but then ensure at least it is something close to 180 degrees. And we have said the reasons for why the egg turning should be done to enable that equal distribution of it within the egg. Now, okay, in general, those were the few management practices within the incubator. In our next lesson, we shall be now looking at both the advantages and the disadvantages of artificial incubation method. Thank you for listening.